Hi everybody, welcome back to the BizTech Academy. Steve here. Today we're going to create a workbook and insert live and dynamic asset prices. When I say asset prices, I mean, for example, equities or foreign exchange or even cryptocurrencies. These prices will be today. They'll be live, assuming that the exchange is open, and they'll also be able to be updated and refreshed at a click of a button. So without further ado, let me show you what we're going to create. Okay, so what we have here, we have a pretty basic and relatively small workbook. It just shows a list of equities, some currencies, a little bit of a chart, and then a calculation of a net worth, as well as a refresh button, which allows us to refresh the prices of the assets. It's been created just for this tutorial, but obviously it could also be used as part of a wider dashboard, if you like, for an individual to measure or to control and manage their financial situation. Just going into a bit more detail, we've got some company names here. We've got the year of incorporation, the exchange they're on. We've also got the price, and the price is dynamic. It's today's price, or certainly the last time the exchange was open. If we press the refresh button, the prices will update, again, assuming the exchange is open. And then we have a 52-week high and a 52-week low, just for information. On top of that, we have a fictitious holding. So this is the holding that this individual has for these particular shares. And then we've multiplied that share quantity by the share price to calculate a share value or portfolio. We then have some currencies. We have GBP, we have Euro, and we have Japanese yen, all against the US dollar. We have the current price. Again, this is dynamic. And we have a previous close price and a change on the day percentage. And then we have the same analysis for two cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and Ethereum. And again, the prices update dynamically as part of the analysis. We have a small chart here, a little pie chart, and all this does, it calculates and plots the portfolio value, both in terms of dollar value and percentage. And of course, that will change as the prices of the assets change themselves and the mix of the equity value changes. Finally, we have a total here, which is a net worth, and we've managed to put it down some calculation here where we can choose a currency. So, for example, if we choose GBP, it will change the net worth into that particular currency and also change the sign or the currency label at the front to show that this is in fact a pound. We'll just put this back for dollar purposes now. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this. And I'm going to show you how to do that and walk through it. If you do want to download the actual file, there is a link in the description for this, so by all means download it and use it as you like to. But in the meantime, let's start. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually create a new workbook. So I'm going to use Command or Control N for new, and that's going to create a new workbook. We'll just get this into the full screen. And the reason I've created a brand new one here, and I'm also going to save it now, just to zoom in a bit so we've got more room. And I'm going to save it with a Control or Command S. And when I save it, what I need to do is I need to go down to where it says File Format, and I need to class it as a Excel macro enabled workbook. And the reason I need to do that is because we're going to create or record a macro for the refresh button. And if we don't do that, then the macro won't work. So save it as a macro enabled workbook, and we'll just call it dashboard for now. And press save. And there we go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put some company names in. So we'll put Meta, and we're going to do Amazon, then we'll do Apple, Netflix, and finally Alphabet for Google. So we have these names, and what I want to do is I want to convert these into assets within Excel so that we can put financial data in place. And to do that, we will go to the Data tab. And you can see in the Data tab, there is a box here or a menu here, and there's a number of different categories: stocks, currencies. There's some geographies with countries and cities. And there's various other foods, for example, films and so on. There's different categories of different items that you can link into a workbook. I'm not going to go through all these now because we're only going to look at the stocks and the currencies. But how this works is you click on the item. So, for example, Meta here, and I want to click on stocks. So I click on stocks, and then it generates little disclaimer about financial pricing you can close off, but it generates a description of Meta. It says the name of the company and the ticker, the exchange ticker, and then it gives you an element. When you click on this little building here, this little icon, it gives you a great deal of information about the company. And you can see here there's a little description, there's a number of employees, and then there's lots of financial stuff, the current price, the exchange is operating on, price change for the day, the currency, and so on and so on. So we're going to have a look at that in a second. First of all, we'll just do the same for all of these other companies. Oh, but Alphabet comes up as an error, and the reason why that is if you come across here where Excel gives you some hints, it shows that Alphabet is still actually called Google on the exchange, although they've changed their parent company name. So what we actually need to do, we need to select Google here. So we'll just select that, and as you can see, it keeps the name Alphabet, but it uses a GOOGL ticker for Google. So what we'll do now is we'll just click on the little building where it says show card or the card icon for Meta, and then we'll input some information. We'll start off by putting in the year incorporated. So we'll scroll down, and as you can see, year incorporated here, and there's a little button that says plus. Press plus, and it comes up with the year incorporated. We'll do the same for Amazon, just to show you. So we go down, year incorporated 1996, that's it. Now you can just copy this down, no problem. And it does the same for all the other companies. As you can see, Apple's the oldest, 1977. We'll just add a row in here, and then we'll put some titles in so we know where we are. So we're going to put company, and we'll put year incorporated, and then we'll just wrap this so it's got a little bit tidier. Okay, and then what we want to do is we'll now put in something else, and we'll put in the exchange. So we'll go down and we'll have a look, see where is it? Oh, okay, it's in the NASDAQ Plus, great. Okay, we'll copy that down. And we can see that all of these, because they're tech companies, are on the NASDAQ, so we'll just include the heading, exchange. So what we'll now do is we'll put in the price. So again, we go back to Meta, and we're looking for the current price here. And you can see here, there it is, price. So click on that, and this is the current price as it stands today. Now, just for information, I'm actually recording this tutorial on a Sunday morning, so the exchanges are closed. So this is the closing price as at the Friday previously. We'll now put in the 52-week high, and again, we'll just go here. There's lots of information here. You can choose whatever it is you want. 52-week high, and then the 52-week low. And then for the purposes of this exercise, I think this is enough information we need from these cards. So 52-week low, okay. And then we'll scroll these down. And now we have the relevant data for each of the companies. What we'll do now is we'll just add in a couple of columns. And what we're going to do here is we're going to have the holdings in and the valuation. So we'll have holding in here. And we're just going to put down 1,000 shares, I think I mentioned, for each of the holdings, just for the purpose of this exercise. And then we're going to do a valuation, and we'll just call it portfolio. And we're going to do equal the number of shares and multiply that by the price, and that then gives you a value. We don't want the decimal places. That then gives a value of the particular holding. Okay, and now we have some details around the equities. We'll just clean it up a bit, just put all these into the middle, and there you go. Now, all this data here, all this price data will change automatically when the exchange is open and I press refresh, which I'll explain in a short while. And that will then change this particular portfolio value, because obviously as the price changes, the total value changes. But that is dynamic, that's real now, and you can put as many companies as you want in here, quite simply. So we'll just clean this up. What we'll do is we'll actually add a row in, and we'll put a title. So we're going to call this equities, or equities, and we'll just merge this across. Right, and then we'll make a table out of this so we can play around with it. So you can Control or Command T, depending on your Windows or Mac machine, and then we'll create the automatic table, and then we'll just make this cosmetically the same. So we'll make this a little bit bigger, maybe 20, and we'll put it into a dark blue background and a white. There we go. And now we have a table now for equities. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do the same for currencies. So we'll go over here, we'll have currencies, put the main heading in, and then we want the currency pairs. And we'll start off, we'll do GBP and /USD. And it's this format here with the slash for currency pairs if you want to follow that. And then we'll do Euro /USD and then dollar yen, which is USD/JPY. And then we'll do the same as we did before. We go back to our data tab, click this time currencies, and search for the currency. And as you can see, the little sort of building or show card, as it says, comes out as well. We do the same for the euro and also the same for the Japanese yen. So we'll then do it for the pricing and then the previous close and the change. So we just go back to our little building here. We want the price, add it in, and then the previous close, which is here, and then finally the day change. And again, it's a Sunday morning for me, so the FX markets are closed. So this is late on Friday, wherever you may have been, for this to be changed. And there you go. That's that. So what we can do, though, it's interesting, is we can also do the same for cryptocurrency. So we'll do Bitcoin USD, BTC USD, which is searching itself, and we'll do Ethereum, these two being the two main cryptocurrencies. And you can see they've searched and they exist in the database. And we'll just copy these down and go from there. The only reason we've got these little green boxes here is because we've got this slightly the other way around in terms of the format. So we'll ignore those errors. They make no difference here. Yeah, and so we've got here now the cryptocurrencies. We'll keep the decimal places just so we can show some changes in a little while. And we'll also, on the GBP and euro, or the pound and the euro, we'll just give some additional decimal places, because really they don't change so much at the 2 decimal place level. It's more at the 4 level that they change. So what you've got here then is a table now with dynamic prices here for currencies and cryptocurrencies, and dynamic prices here for equities. So we'll just clean this up again. What we'll do is we'll make this the same as the previous one in equities. We'll make it blue and white, and we'll drag it across, and then we'll create a table from the balance of the data. So again, Command T on a Mac, Control T on a PC, and then we have our table. Okay, so we now have an equities table and we have a currencies table, both with live data as required. Just going to get rid of these errors again, because they're not real in the scheme of what we're trying to achieve. So what we want to do now is to create a small chart that shows and plots the portfolio values against the company names. And obviously this will change then as the prices change, and therefore the portfolio value changes as well. So to do that, we'll just temporarily insert a column here, and we'll type in the ticker values. What I don't want to do on the chart is use these large labels, because it'll just make it too messy. So we'll have Meta, and then we'll have AMZN, and then AAPL for Apple, NFLX for Netflix, and the traditional Google for Google or Alphabet. And then we'll highlight this, and then with our Command or Control, we'll highlight the portfolio value. And then let's see what Excel suggests we should insert as a chart. I would suggest probably a pie chart. Yeah, let's put that pie chart in place. Okay, there we go. So we can change the title here, and we'll call it Equity Portfolio. And I think we'd also like some labels on here. So let's go up to our chart design tab and add elements. We want labels best fit. Okay. Okay, so there's the values. I think it would be great to also show percentages. So if we just right click on these values and go to Format Data Labels, you can see here we can just add percentage again, and that adds the percentages here. What we'll do is just drag these across to make it look a little bit easier, a bit prettier. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll get rid of this, and we'll just make this a little bit prettier by giving it a slightly blue background, and we'll just drag it down. I'll make it a bit smaller. There. Okay, I think the equity pool can be bold, and there we go. So that's a little chart in place. And again, that will change. These percentages and these values will change as the stock prices change and the portfolio value changes. Okay, so we don't want this little sort of rogue little bit of data here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to create another tab here, and I'm going to call it data, call this dashboard, and I'm going to cut this so it's out of the way. And I'm going to put it into this tab. There we go. Let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see it. Okay, and then we'll go back to the dashboard, and there we go. We can remove this column, and we're back to our nice tidy table. Okay, so the final thing to do, or the penultimate thing I should say we need to do, is just add in some columns here. So rows, sorry, here. We're going to create this net worth total. So we're going to have, we use these two cells. So let's just merge that and merge all the other ones below, or the three below. Two below, and then we're going to go net worth, and we're going to have a currency here, just so for now we'll use US dollar, and then we need to do a calculation. And what we want to do is, in a standard way, we would just want to calculate the value of the portfolio. So we could do an easy sum value of just the sum, and then the portfolio. So we go up one, and what we have here is a value. We'll just change the formatting of this. Okay, so now we have our net worth, we have our dollar, and we have a value, which is fine, that's okay. Now, what would be really useful, though, is if we could sort of flex this or change this based on a currency. So let's say, for example, this person needs to understand what the value of their net worth is in GBP or in euro or in yen. It would be good to be able to do that almost with the flick of a switch. So to do that, what we would do is, first of all, create a drop-down menu in this second cell here. So A, B2 or A2 if you like. So we'll go back to our data, and what we're going to do is create just the currencies. So we'll have USD, GBP, Euro, and JPY for Japanese yen. Go back to the main tab, and then in this cell here, we'll get rid of the USD. We'll go to our data ribbon and go to data validation. Where it says validation criteria, change the allowed to list. And then you have a source here, which is a range. So click on that, and then go back to the data tab and highlight all of the currencies, the four currencies. Press OK. And what you have here now is a drop-down menu. And as you can see, USD, GBP, Euro, JPY. So we can choose any of these, and it will place these into this particular cell. So we have an option then to change it. So we need to tie that option then into the currency field here, so that it calculates the relevant value for that particular currency. So to do that, we need to use nested if functions, and I'll show you how to do that now. We start off with a standard if function, so equal if, open the parentheses, and we're going to ask the question, if this cell here is equal to, and in this case US dollar, so in inverted commas US dollar, and then with a comma we then say, if it is US dollar, then sum up, so sum that portfolio. We don't need to do anything else because it's already in US dollars. We don't need to convert it or anything. So we close the parentheses to close the function, and then we need to do something else because we're saying if it's US dollar, sum up that. But if it's not, what do we do? Well, if it's not, then we need to say, is it? So if, open the parentheses, the same cell, if A2 is equal to, in inverted commas, GBP, close inverted commas and comma, then we need to sum up again the same portfolio, but this time we also need to divide it by the dollar or the pound dollar exchange rate, and that will convert it into pounds. So we close that with a parenthesis, and then the next question is, well, okay, if it's not the dollar USD and it's not the pound GBP, we say if A2 is equal to, in inverted commas, euro, EUR, then close the inverted commas. Then what we need to do is sum up again the same portfolio, but this time we need to divide it by the euro rate and not the pound rate. We close the parentheses. And then the final thing is if it's not US dollar, if it's not GBP, it's not euro, the only thing it can be is yen, and therefore you don't need an if statement, you just need to do the final result, so comma, and then you will say sum and open the parentheses, and you want to sum up the portfolio again, but this time, because the pair starts with a dollar and doesn't start with the other currency, we need to multiply it, so an asterisk by the dollar yen rate. Close the parenthesis, and I think we've got another 4 parentheses for the if statements to close, and press enter, and then we have a value. So today, at the moment, we have a value of the dollar, so let's just test it with the other ones. We change that now to GBP. There you go, GBP. If we change it to euro, it converts it to a euro rate. And if we change it to JPY, it converts it into a yen denomination. However, if you probably see, still continues to have a dollar sign. So on the yen, it has a dollar sign, euro dollar sign, and pound dollar sign, which we don't want. We want to change these to the right signs. So to change these currency signs, we need to use conditional formatting. So what we do, we click onto the cell we want to change the format, which is the value sign, the value cell, sorry, cell A3, and we go to conditional formatting. We don't need to do anything for the dollar sign because that's already the default. So we do need to change it to start off with for the pound sign, the GBP sign. So we go to conditional formatting, we go to new rule, and then under new rule where it says style, choose classic, and then where it says only format top or bottom ranked values, open that menu and go to the bottom one where it says user formula. Click on there, and there's a blank field then, which allows us to put in our own manual formula. So click that, and what the formula needs to be is cell A2, if that cell label equals, and in inverted commas, GBP, then we need to change the format. So we then go down to format with, and we want customize format, and we want currency, and we click on the currency, and we need to find the GBP for the pound, and that is here. And we don't want any decimal places. We'll convert that to 0, and we press OK, and then OK again. And if we just test it now, we'll just drop that down to GBP. You can see now the pound sign is added in. So we'll try that again. We'll go stay on this cell, and we'll do it for the euro. So conditional formatting, new rule, back to the classic style, do our formula at the bottom and go into the field, and they want if A2 here is equal to, in inverted commas, euro, then we want to change the formatting, so customize format, under currency, find the euro sign, which is here. We don't want the decimal places, and OK, and OK, and we'll just quickly test it. Euro, that's euro. So one more time, we'll just do it for the yen, conditional formatting, new rule, classic, and then down to the formula, and in the field, if the euro sign equals yen, JPY for Japanese yen, not joy, then we change the format, currency, to the yen, which is here, and again, no decimal places. And then what you'll find, when we click on here and do Japanese yen, that we have a yen. So now we have a net worth calculation in one of 4 currencies, which is good. Okay, so let's just change this formatting to the same style we've been using so far. We'll put these in a little bit lighter blue, make them a bit bigger as well, I think, because it's an important calculation. And then we'll just put a bottom line under each and put a black border around it so it highlights it. Okay, so now what we have our net worth calculation, we have our equities table with our dynamic pricing, and we have the currencies with the dynamic pricing, and we also have our little chart here showing the equity portfolio. Now the thing is, how do you change the prices? That's the final point. So how you would do it in a traditional or standard way is you go to your data tab, or data ribbon, and you can see there's a button here that says refresh all. And if I press that refresh all, it will change the prices. Now, as I said a moment ago, it's Sunday morning here for me, so the equity prices are not moving because the markets are closed, and the standard FX or foreign exchange prices won't be changing because their exchange is closed as well. But the crypto prices are changing because the crypto markets are open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. So if we now focus on these here, and I'll just highlight them for now, I'll just highlight them very quickly in yellow. And if you watch those, when I press the refresh button, I'm going to do it now. You'll see they'll change. So there you go. They're changing because the market is changing, and I'm pressing refresh, and they change. And they change each time. That's why I've got the 2 decimal places here for these, because it just shows dynamic changes. One more time, and there you go. They changed. So what will be really good to do now is, instead of having to go to the data tab and press refresh all every time we do this, is to have some sort of button on this dashboard that allows us then to just refresh the prices whenever we want. And of course, if we were in live US time now, where the market's open, these prices would change for the equities, and the exchange rates would change, and therefore this equity portfolio value would change as well, as would the net worth. Okay, just turn this back to US dollar for completeness sake. Now, to input a button, or an automatic button that allows us to refresh these prices, we need to record or write a macro to do that. And we're going to record one because it's the easiest way of doing it. But before we can do that, we need to ensure that this developer menu here, which I've got open here, is available in your Excel, and it's not open, it's not always there by default. So to do that, to open that up on a Windows machine, you simply go to the File menu or the File tab, and then you click on Options, and then you click on Customize the ribbon, and then you select the Developer checkbox to open that up. I'm actually on a Mac at the moment, and if I was to do this here, I would do a similar thing. I would go to my Customize menu, which is here, and I would choose Ribbon here. And then, as you can see, as you go down towards the bottom, there's this developer menu. I'm going to keep it checked because I want that open. And that's what you do. And once you do that, the developer menu will come up to the top here, and you can open it up. And with it open, you can record a macro. So we're going to do that now. And it's going to be a very, very simple macro. We're going to press record a macro, which is going to ask us, first of all, to name it. And we're going to call it price underscore refresh. Now we're going to press OK, and as we've pressed OK, we are now recording. As you can see here, it says stop recording, so we're recording. So all we want to do is put a simple command. We want to go to the data tab, and we want to press refresh all, and that's going to refresh the prices. Then we go to the developer tab again, and we stop recording. We now have our macro, and our macro is called refresh prices, and it exists. It's just not tied to anything at the moment. So as you can see also in the developer menu here, you have a number of things. You can put an option button, a list box, a scroll bar, and so on. We just want a button. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a button. So we just press button, click on the workbook anywhere, it will open up a menu, and it will say, what do you want to, what macro do you want to assign to this button? We want to assign price refresh. We've just created that. So we press price refresh, press OK, and then a button comes up. We're going to click on it, and we're going to change the title, and we'll just call it price refresh. Okay, move away from the button. I think I might just right click, and then I think I can drag it, just make it a little bit better. Put it there, and then if you press it, and again, if you watch the yellow cells here with the currencies in the cryptocurrencies, and if I press refresh, and also watch the little buildings here, because they twirl around because they're refreshing, they're acting. Press price refresh, and you can see we're now refreshing the prices. Of course, there's not a great deal of movement because we're doing it every second, but they are refreshing. And again, if it was an open market day, all these other prices would refresh, and everything else would change as well. Okay. That's it. So we now have a dashboard with a list of equities, list of currencies, a little chart showing the equity portfolio. We've calculated our net worth in multiple currencies, and we've used or recorded a macro to allow us to refresh those prices at any time we feel like we want to. I hope you found that useful and interesting. I think it's a useful tutorial, this, and there's a lot of scope to expand this and use this sort of data in larger and wider dashboards. I plan to create a more detailed and sort of all-inclusive dashboard for many different assets and liabilities that people can use to monitor their daily finances, and I'll try and get that out in the next week or so. So watch this space for that one. Again, I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Press the alert button because we do release videos most days. But in the meantime, thank you very much for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.